I should have asked right at the beginning, how many of you before you entered this room had even heard of Deno or knew what Deno was? Oh, look at this. This is nice. Are you being truthful with me?
I'm sure they are. Okay. I'm just going to go straight to the questions.
Sure. Yeah.
No nice chat at all. Because there's a lot of questions and a lot of votes for this one. How can I be sure that the code I transpiled correctly on the JSR side? Large TS projects can have quite a complex build process.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a couple ways you can do this. In the docs, there's some configuration that you can use to transpile your TypeScript to JavaScript locally and like try out your code with that. Alternatively, if your code is written for Deno, for example, then you could just run the TypeScript and Deno will execute it. And we're actually currently working on a feature that will allow you to take a project that you would publish to JSR and sort of build the package tarball that we would use for NPM locally, so you can try out with that using NPM link or something like that in your local project. So we're still working on some things there, but there's ways to do it.
Yeah. And can you run a private JSR registry? Because often, I mean, that's kind of the case that you...
Yeah. So you can self-host JSR. JSR is completely open source. I actually forgot to link to that, but yeah, if you go to github.com/jsr-io, everything is open source there. The backend, the front end, the JSR CLI that you saw me use earlier. So you can self-host it and run it internally in your team. There's still some work to be done to allow sort of pass-through registries where you can have a private registry that can fall through to the public registry if you don't have a package on your private registry. But well, that's something we'll work on. JSR is still pretty new, so still things to innovate on. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions related to this JSR. I think we're all happy seeing.
I'm more than happy for people to ask JSR questions. I would love to see more people using JSR.
Yeah, but actually there was, let's go a little bit to Deno side as well.
I mean, to be fair, Luca is also Deno and probably will be able to answer questions better than I can, having been Deno for a long time.
Nice. So how long do the Deno subhosting sites stay alive, and are they just temporary?
No, they are not temporary. They will stay live infinitely.
Until you delete them.
Yeah. When Deno is pulling packages from JSR, how does it manage different TS configs of each package, which may have conflicting compiler options like decorators?
Yeah, so that's actually a very simple answer. There's only a single dsconfig file you can use to publish to JSR. And the reason we do this is because, so first of all, emitting TypeScript to JavaScript is actually a very standardized procedure at this point. Like, there's only like two options that can impact that, which is legacy decorators and whether you want to emit const enums or not, which both of those we don't do, and instead you can use either standard decorators or non-const enums. So when you publish, you probably didn't see it during maybe you saw it roll by during the publishing step, but we actually check your TypeScript source code during publishing to make sure that you're not using any of those options. But yeah, we're doing this to sort of like make sure everybody's using the same configuration.
And how well JSR packages work in NPM ecosystem? Does Dependabot and Renovate handle bumping JSR packages?
So if you're using a tool that can handle private registries, because in reality, JSR behaves like an NPM private registry. If your tool supports that, it'll work with JSR too. So as long as you support private registries, it'll work with JSR. So you can even pull packages from JSR into things like Azure Artifact Registry or JFrog Artifactory or something like that. If you have a private registry for NPM, you can just add a backend for JSR in that and pull them directly into those tools.
Nice. Okay, so we don't come to a clean table. So what would you say, is it like worth switching to Deno in a bigger projects or migrating?
I mean, I think if you're using TypeScript, it absolutely is worth swapping over. We will be releasing, our next major release is going to be full node compat. So that'll make your swapping over even easier.
That's nice and easy answer. Yes, you should. Always. Always.
So the answer is like, Deno has all of these built-in tools, right? Like there's a lot of, if you switch over to Deno, there's a lot of configuration that you can probably remove. Like if you have a complex TypeScript compiler pipeline or something like that, Deno has TypeScript built in. Deno has a very fast JavaScript transpiler built in too. So like if you're using ESBuild or TSC, both of those get subsumed by Deno. If you're using ESLint, that gets subsumed by Deno. Deno has a linting tool built in. If you're using Prettier, that gets subsumed by Deno. Deno has a formatter built in. If you're using a testing library like vtest or Jest or anything like that, Deno has a built-in testing library, gets subsumed, right? Like all of these things are just built into Deno. So if you're switching an existing project over to Deno, probably there'll be some code some small amounts of code that you have to rewrite. We have a lot of compatibility, but there's always edge cases, right? But the majority of things that you can do is like delete on dependencies and just use built-in tooling, which is really nice because like we have a VS Code extension that has all these things built in too. So like if you're using the Deno VS Code extension, you'll get like formatting in your editor automatically, and like you get a nice panel on the left-hand side for testing that shows you all of the tests you have in your project, and you can like click on one to run it, and it shows you the output directly in the editor. And yeah, I don't know, it's kind of nice.
I think there was you had a really nice sort of visual representation of that when you did your Deno demo, and then your node demo, which just fills the entire left-hand column with bump, which you just don't need.
Yeah.
Okay, but is there a case when you wouldn't use Deno?
Sure. Like if you're, I don't know, if like you don't have to. If you prefer having a lot of dependencies, or I don't know.
You really hate dinosaurs?
You really hate dinosaurs. No, like obviously there's. Deno, we try to be very compatible with Node. There's some things that you cannot do yet, like if you go into like real deep dark of Node's VM module, probably you can't use Deno. If you like, I don't know, it's very few things. Like Deno supports a very wide array of Node compatibility. Like even things like Node's native add-ons are supported in Deno. So yeah, try it out. If it doesn't work, open an issue and we'll fix it.
Yeah, let us know.
Okay, back to JSR. What entity controls / hosts the JSR registry? Is it commercial, or if not, how is hosting funded?
Yeah, so JSR is hosted on Google Cloud. It's funded. We are like the people that pay the bills is Deno, but we have intentionally architected JSR to be like very cheap to operate for us. And the reason for this is because we don't really see, and like Deno there's no monetization in JSR. Like this is not something we intend to like charge for. Like it's not just we don't intend to charge for it, we will not charge for it. And the reason for that is because like it needs to be as easy to use as NPM, and NPM does not charge to publish public packages, right? And like I think one of the big problems with the NPM is its funding model. Its funding model is GitHub. GitHub pays for it, and if GitHub has no incentive to improve anything, or sorry, GitHub, it's not open source, so there's nobody that can like host NPM itself. GitHub has no incentive to improve anything. You can't pay GitHub to improve anything either. Whereas JSR is open source, you can send PRs. It's sort of like a community project. You can open issues in our issue tracker. You can look through the source code. And I'm sure at some point we'll get to the point where where other companies will also chip in, like other large companies will chip in if they start using JSR. But yeah, there's no like monetization story behind JSR. It's like an open project that we're really like, yeah, it's just like a for good project, I guess. Deno makes its money elsewhere. Deno makes its money through like deploy and sub-hosting and these kinds of things. We don't see JSR as a like monetization strategy.
Yeah. It's part of Ryan's goal to make the JavaScript developer experience more pleasant. Like it does feel a little bit like it's kind of stagnated, and he's desperately trying to sort of pull it into a modern era.
Okay, what are the most popular packages in JSR at the moment? And what big libraries are planning moving there? React?
Yes, so probably the biggest packages on JSR is the Deno standard library. It has a lot of packages. It's very widely used throughout the Deno ecosystem. But yeah, I showed some of the packages earlier from people like LaunchDarkly or the Hono, for example, is published to JSR. And yeah, I don't want to commit anybody else to publishing to JSR because that just seems very rude. But like we've been in talks with many people and helping them to publish to JSR. Like there's a lot of other SaaS companies that we're working with to get their packages published to JSR. So you can expect a lot more of that. One of the Preact maintainers works at Deno, and once JSR is sort of ready for it, may also consider publishing Preact to JSR. And so like there's definitely like the problem with the registry is that like nobody is going to publish everything on the first day, right? That's just not how things work. So this sort of evolves slowly. JSR has only been around since March, maybe?
Yeah,
March.
yeah.
So like very recent. So yeah, I don't know. You can go to the website. There's actually like a list of, on the left-hand side of like highlighted packages, and you can like click through there. Maybe there's some you know in there.
And we are slowly seeing the number of packages. It's moving up and to the right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have high hopes for the future.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, this like I don't know how if anyone else struggles with documentation. I feel like it's very painful and gets old really fast. Mm-hmm. But how do you measure the quality of a documentation in JSR? Yeah. Is this sorry, I'm gonna just finish. Is the score based on just the raw amount of documentation, or do you use other metrics as well?
No, so the score is based purely on on the amount of documentation you have. Like, or rather, it's not even the amount. It's like whether a certain symbol has documentation or not, and then the percentage of exported symbols that do have documentation. So it's possible to game the system. Like, absolutely, you can add a comment that just has a little X in it on all of your symbols, and you can do that. But that's sort of like, I don't know, why would you do that? Nobody's going to download your package if you do this, so don't do it.
Okay, back to you, Joe. Oh, now it got lost, sorry. I just had a question, sorry.
Right.
Oh, does Deno support Node APIs like FS, or does it have its own FS implementation?
So Deno does have its own FS implementation. Yeah.
But it also supports, like you can import Node FS or, like any NPM package that uses Node's FS library will just work. And you could just like import Node:/FS as well.
Okay. Yeah, and how does Deno hosting support scaling? Is it easily configurable to speaker machines?
Yeah, it's a serverless environment, so it'll just scale up with usage. So if you send it 1,000 requests, it will scale up to handle 1,000 requests. And if you send it 1 million requests, it'll scale up to handle 1 million requests.
Okay. I think we're going to finish up soon because I think people want a little break and there's going to be coffees
and
as
they
well.
Have to come get the stickers.
But one more. Can you publish from private GitHub repos?
I don't know. Try it out. Maybe.
Send a feedback if you can.
Yeah, I don't remember. You have to try it out and see. Yeah, no idea.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure we're going to all jump to JSR after this session. Thank you, Joe and Luca. Let's give it up for them one more time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, get stickers.